Hello and welcome to the Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc. YouTube. We are so glad to be here, and I have an amazing person here with me today. Would you please introduce yourself?
I am Kathleen Danes, and I am the president of Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc.
That is a really weighty role. Like, what exactly does that translate to?
Oh, you're responsible when everybody else messes up.
Ah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sort of kidding. There's so much that goes into it, honestly. I have to coordinate with so many people. A lot of in the beginning, it was a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're just herding cats," and I'm like, it kind of feels that way.
But I wonder how many other presidents feel like that, though.
That's a good question. I don't know.
So, why president of the Idaho Renaissance Faire? Like, how did you end up in that position?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I started out way back when in like 2012, just being a regular, when it first started, that first couple of years, just as a participant. Like, we just went. And then we started being vendors, and after a couple of years, we volunteered, and we got asked to join the board because they had shrunk in numbers so drastically over the course of a year. And just one thing after the other, a couple of people had very personal things that were happening in their lives that they could no longer participate. And it was just kind of that, hey, I need to step down. There's only 4 of you. Can we put all of you into leadership positions? And we were just kind of, I guess so, because we don't want this to die. So yeah, we'll take it. And just after about a year, it was almost a year, that first year, from the end of 2016 to the middle of 2017. I was actually the vice president, and the lady who was in as the president had her life kind of imploded, and we just kind of had a conversation, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to take this?" And I said, "Sure." So I just kind of took it, and we've been running. So
there you go. That sounded like a pretty lengthy time condensed down in like a minute.
Oh yeah, that was like a good 5 years worth of stuff all just really quick.
What year were you volunteering? When did the volunteering start?
So it only took us a couple of years. Like, we vended for a couple of years, and then but we were volunteering at the same time. So we started volunteering in, I think, 2014. And just we were volunteers and vendors at the same time for a couple of years, and then for 2016 we were still just kind of in that volunteer space, but it was, hey, we need people who are willing to step up, and it was like, well, okay, here we are. So
well, there you go. So was the Renaissance Faire of the time, because that wasn't Renaissance Faire Inc.
No, well, it was, but it wasn't at the same time. The original group who put the company together registered it with the IRS as Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc., but they were just doing the one event, so it was just Idaho Renaissance Faire, and we just kind of shifted gears with it so that it was less of this is an event and more of this is a company who runs an event.
Okay. So it would be safe to assume that the way that the fair looked 2014, 2015 is completely different to how it looks 2023.
It definitely looks different.
What are some of the biggest changes that you personally have overseen with the fair?
Okay, so that first year we ended up canceling 2017 because it was, July. Our event was supposed to be in October. We had, I think, 5 vendors and no performers, and like it was pretty crazy. And we canceled that year. And in the process of canceling, we were looking at the location that it was being held and decided, we need to move locations because we need to be able to charge a gate fee. We need to be able to, it was pretty loud public, hey, are you guys ever going to get a mead hall or a pub or anything attached to your event? And we were previously in Gem County, and I don't know if it still is, but at the time it was a dry county, so they weren't allowed to have alcohol on site. And we wanted to be able to actually make money to fulfill the mission statement, which is giving back to the arts in the valley. And we couldn't do that. It was basically a dying, almost dead event. There was $300 in the bank account, and moving locations and being able to charge a gate fee allowed us to grow in a way that we've been able to actually give back to the schools. So that's been really huge for all of us.
It sounds like, because you're really hitting the gate fee point.
Yeah.
Why is that such an important point?
Because without it, we literally would be able to go nowhere. We keep our prices for vendors really low. We've been told multiple times by all of our vendors, like consistently every event, our vendors are like, why do you not charge more? Why do you not charge more? And we keep it low so that our new vendors have somewhere to launch from. We've helped many vendors launch, but also so that we can have it be worth it for people to come. But that only allows us to pay the bills. And we are a nonprofit organization, so it didn't make sense for us to gouge anybody. But being able to charge at the gate allows us to also fulfill our mission statement and give back to the different schools that we've been able to participate with. And it's been interesting to see how the dynamic has changed and shifted within the vendor community and even our patron community and our entertainer community. And we've been able to be noticed on a broader national scale due to the changes, and that is one of the changes that was necessary for that to happen.
What was the original gate fee that you were charging 2017?
2018. It was just a flat, I think it was a flat $5 fee. It was either that or it was split, where it was $10 for adults and $5 for like kids and seniors and first responders and all of that, which actually that's probably right. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, I think that's what it was. It was $10 for anybody that was classified as adult, and then for like kids that were above the age of 3, and then for like seniors and first responders, we had a $5 fee. So, but after a little while, that just got so confusing and convoluted after a couple of years that we just went to a flat $10 fee.
Okay. Do you still have the age?
So our age limit jumped up. So because we decided to just do a flat fee, we decided that anybody 8 and under is free, and then anybody 9 and older is $10, period. It just it's kind of streamlined things and made it a lot simpler, and it still encourages people with kids and that have a family to come and participate, and then it helps to negate a lot of that overwhelming, oh my goodness, how are we going to pay for our kids?
Right, because this is a family event.
Yes, we have tried very hard and worked very hard to make sure that this is a family-friendly environment, that it's easy for kids to interact with the vendors and with the cast members and with the entertainers. We want kids and families to feel comfortable.
Okay. Is that because of your own personal history? Were you attending Renaissance Fair as a kid?
Yes and no. So my first experience with a Renaissance Fair was actually in 7th grade. I went on a field trip with my middle school to the Las Vegas Age of Chivalry. That's my home fair. And so I got to experience that as, a very impressionable 13-year-old who was like, oh my gosh, these are my people. I am weird and this is my home. So that's where I started with it. And then just as I got older, I continued my love for medieval history and I always loved history, and I loved acting and music and theater and all of those things. So it was just like I was talking to my mom recently, and she's a couple of my friends down home, she had asked what I was doing, and she told them, and they were like, that totally makes sense. So, it's very much this is definitely my personality for most of my life. So.
Okay. Do you by chance know if the age of chivalry is still going on?
It is. I actually follow it.
Well, there you go.
It's one of the events that I like to pay attention to and see where they're at and how they're developing and changing. And happy to say they're still running. So.
Oh, that's exciting because there are things that as you get older you find that things that you loved are just no longer there. So it's exciting to see that they've managed to wage through the years so well.
Exactly. And that's what we honestly hope to be able to do that too. So here we go.
There you go. So how much of your personal experience with other fairs have you pulled into your own fair?
A little bit. I wouldn't say a ton because I haven't experienced a ton of fairs, but I've been able to, like I said, Age of Chivalry when down in Vegas I've experienced. There is, I can't remember the name of it, but there's one down in Cedar City, Utah that I got to attend for a few years. And then I've been to Spokane a few times and Washington Midsummer once. And they're beautiful fairs, and I love what they do. And it's for me, it's nice to be able to see what other fairs are doing and, kind of look at how their patrons and their cast and their vendors all interact, and then kind of have an overview evaluation of ours and see, okay, these vendors are really great with kids, so let's put them in areas where kids are going to more likely be. And these vendors are really geared towards like the fighters and stuff. So we'll put them over by where the fighters are, and just getting to see how everybody interacts together. Viewing other fairs and getting to participate in other fairs just gives a really eye-opening help in the overview of our fair. But there's not a lot of I'm gonna pull from there and do that here, because we are apparently sort of unique in that we are very focused on kids and family, which apparently isn't very common anymore from what I've been told. But also it's one of my really big goals to make sure that my cast and crew are very well taken care of, and that they feel safe, and that they feel like they can express their views and talk about what they're dealing with. And we have one of our wonderful performers who comes down from Washington Shakespeare Festival. He's a Robin player. He's fantastic. But last year we were talking mid or post event, and we have a yurt that we set up. And he's like, why did you guys put up the yurt? You don't let it's not for patrons. What's the deal with that? And it was, well, this is a safe place for any of our cast and crew if they need a break and they just need to be away from other people or deal with an emotion, that they can go and close the doors and be completely private. And he just looked at me and was like, that is singularly unique to you. And it's wonderful that you do that, because not a lot of companies care enough to give people a private space like that. So that's something that's very important to us, is to make sure that people feel safe.
That's really nice, actually, to hear that. I do have to ask a clarification question.
Okay.
You said yurt, I assume tent, and then you said doors.
Okay. So a yurt is a type of a tent. It's round and it's kind of domed on top, but it has an actual door. So
cool.
Yeah, it's built into the frame that there's an actual door.
Is that in any way related to actual Renaissance or?
Yes and no. It depends on where you're looking. In world of history, the yurt is more of a traveling person's kind of a tent. So like shepherds and things. So like I'm like Mongolia, they were really popular. Shepherds in like the Middle East, they were really like, I think they are still kind of popular. And it just depends on like where in the world you're looking. For like Native American culture, it would have been a different type of structure. We settled in our event in Italy, and so it's not exactly a common tent. So it fits, but it's also sort of out of place. So
okay, I guess that leads into the next question then.
Okay.
Is where you are a Renaissance fair, how historically accurate is your Renaissance fair?
So, as far as historical accuracy versus historical appropriateness, we try to sit kind of in between. There are a lot of things that we can look at with like characters that we play and say, okay, these are facts that are historically accurate to this character that I'm portraying. But as far as like tents and costumes, we try to go in the middle ground between historically accurate and historically appropriate, because I mean fabrics are not going to be the same, so things aren't going to sit right. Corsets for women are hard to find the right style, so it's what's going to fit with the dynamic of the outfit I'm trying to wear and give off the appropriate feel. For some of our gentlemen, it can be a little harder to find the right type of pants, the right type of shoes, the right type of hat, or any of the accessories without making them yourself. And we do end up making a lot of things ourselves, but for those who are just starting out or who are just coming into this to give it a test run, we lean more to the historically appropriate side, just so that they can get a feel for it. And then if they want to invest in it, or they want to, get more involved in building their own pieces, then it leans more towards the historically accurate. So it's just kind of a what you have available at the time.
How long? So do you make your own costumes?
I do.
From head to toe? Like we're talking...
Yeah. I don't make my own shoes. I don't have that skill. But
the line is drawn in the shoes.
Shoes, because we want you to be comfortable, and a lot of times historically appropriate shoe or historically accurate shoes are just not comfortable, and they're not it's not, I don't know what the word is, realistic. They're not realistic for spending multiple days on your feet all day long interacting with patrons. It's just foot comfort is a little bit more important than accuracy. So
would it be safe to say that the safety and functionality
Yes.
for you is more key than necessarily the accuracy?
Yes.
Is that because of personal experience?
My experience, along with the experience of a lot of my friends and cast members, that first couple of years when we were just interacting and we were a part of an acting troupe, and my husband and I have been involved in a lot of different aspects of this, and just trying out different things, and we've realized after a couple of years of trying various options that functionality and safety far outweighs accuracy.
Gotcha.
So we would far much rather have people be not wishing their feet could get sawn off at the end of the day than have footwear that looks appropriate. I mean, I would rather somebody wore tennis shoes and know that their feet and their legs and their back are going to be okay at the end of the day than slippers and have them hate life. So
That makes sense. Well, let's talk about the future a little bit.
Okay.
How long do you intend to do this for?
Me personally,
Well, yes, please.
I'm either gonna die doing this or somebody's gonna have a mutiny and throw me out.
That sounds like a pretty long-term goal then.
This is where I am. I'm not going anywhere. So
what kind of future plans do you have? What's going to keep you loving Idaho Renaissance Faire Inc.?
So we actually have some decent projected plans for the future. As long as things go according to plan.
Right.
That's always the if factor, is if things go according to plan. We would like to add a couple more events over the next, handful of years. Currently we're sitting at 2, a spring event and a fall event, and eventually we would also like to have a winter and a summer event as well, so that we have 4 events throughout the year that are ours, that we run. And then also in the hopefully not too distant future, we'll be able to have some property that we can build and have a hard site and have actual structures where people can come and stay. And we would love to have taverns and inns and a castle and a full-on village and just the whole 9 yards. Like, we want to do the whole shebang. So hopefully everything goes to plan and it works.
That sounds really big. How much land would you need if you had the ideal plot that you could get?
If I had the ideal space that I could do this, it would probably be like 100 to 200 acres.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I want to do a proper village, so.
So where is Idaho Renaissance Faire happening now?
Currently, we are operating out of Expo, Idaho, which we moved to this year, 2023. The last couple of years, we have operated our event out of Kuna, and they were fantastic. They were great to us, but we just outgrew the space. We outgrew the parking. We really needed a larger parking lot and room to grow, and Expo Idaho has provided us with that. So we're currently there.
So if you had your perfect land plot, is it still going to be in Idaho? Are you looking at moving? Is it going to be in the Boise area, hopefully? Or what are you thinking?
If I could have my wish, it wouldn't be too far out of town, but it would be on the mountain home side of Boise. So a little bit further east and a little bit south. So we're not too far away. We're still pretty close, but just outside of town a little bit, so that we could grow and build what we want without infringing upon neighborhoods and running into wetlands and things that are already dedicated. So
okay. So if you had a piece of advice for someone else who's wanting to start their own Renaissance Fair, what would be the most important thing you could tell them?
Learn to crawl before you walk, learn to walk before you run, and don't sprint to the finish line.
Is there a finish line?
I don't know. That's part of why I say it like that, because I don't know if there ever is a finish line. Doing this, be smart about it. Go online, look at what the IRS requires, make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row, and don't be afraid. Like, just, if you're gonna do it, and don't be afraid.
So let's twist the question a little bit. If you could go back to 2017, Kathleen Danes, what would you tell her from where you're at now?
Take a deep breath and hold on for dear life. Also, probably get used to taking criticism. We laugh, but I'm serious. That is probably one of the hardest things that I've had to learn, is that you can't please everybody, and you're always gonna, somebody's always gonna feel disappointed, and just learn to take it with a grain of salt and just keep moving forward. Take the criticism, see if there's anything you can improve, and just keep marching. Don't stop.
Okay. So I think that's good advice for anyone at any point in their life. And this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for taking some time and coming
Yeah.
and speaking with us and letting people get to know who you are.
Oh,
as the
thank you for
president.
having me here. I appreciate it, and it's been fun, and hopefully what we've had to say will give somebody a boost.
I'm sure it will. And if they don't have a boost from this, definitely come and check out the Idaho Renaissance Fair going on. We have our Beltane event coming up May 11th and 12th for our Beltane event, and
Yes.
in October.
September, the last weekend of September and the first weekend of October.
That's right, because we're
Yes,
going to
we're moving to 2
weeks.
weekends.
Okay. So there's a little teaser for you. You have 2 weeks to come and see us. End of September, beginning of October,
Yes.
all at Expo Idaho.
Yes.
We hope you've enjoyed yourself, and we hope your history is as fun as ours. We will see you all on the next time. Huzzah!
Huzzah!